She was a fast machine, she kept her motor clean. She was the best looking woman that I ever seen. She had the sightless eyes, telling me no lies, knocking me out, olive and left in with the rain. Yeah, you shook me all night long, swaying promenade. Yeah, you shook me all night long.
All right, here we go. Another Square Dance Callers Talking. Tonight I'm going back to the West Coast. I have Leo Catt tonight on the podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. It is a pleasure to finally get to talk to you. As we were talking a little bit before we started recording, we've never had the opportunity to talk, just mainly because of you're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast for the most part. Where are you? Where do you live?
I live in Yelm, which is the farthest place from anywhere. No, if you think about Seattle and you go about 2 hours south, is our state capital, Olympia, and I'm about an hour east of that. So, probably 2.5 hours southeast of Seattle.
Okay, gotcha. Now, did you born and raised there? Did you end up there? How'd you get out there?
I did. So I grew up in Federal Way, Washington, which is, a suburb of Seattle, Tacoma. I met my wife. We actually moved to San Diego. We were there for six years, and then we came back just before the pandemic hit. If I'm honest about it, I don't know what we would have done if we would have been stuck in San Diego during the pandemic. We didn't have any family. We didn't have any support system. The only thing that we did have was, the square dance community, which was great. But yeah, we were able to come back, and life goes on, I guess.
Yep, outstanding. All right. And a lot of people ask me, how do you find out who you're going to talk to next and all that? And what I do is I go on the internet and I find emails and everything. So that's how we met up. And again, I appreciate you doing this. But when did you start square dancing before we get into the calling?
Oh my goodness God. So I started when I was 7 years old. That was 1976. I'll let you do the math for the age, but 1976, my parents were dancers, and they didn't particularly care that I liked it. They just didn't really want to pay a babysitter. So they dragged us kids along, right?
Okay.
Our first club, it was very cool. We call ourselves the Dance-a-Lots. Us kids, we had little badges that said Dance a Littles, so that was kind of cool.
Nice.
But anyway, so and that was when dancing really was at its height, right? We had 15,000 in, I think it's actually closer to 20,000 in the Kingdom in 1980 for the 1980 Nationals. And if you compare that to now, well, there you go. So anyway, so I danced all through high school, and then I stopped because I had family and college and things like that. And when my father passed away in '01, my mom, she called me up. She said, "Hey, I'm going to this dance thing. I need a partner. Do you want to go?" And I went that night to the first lesson, and they happened to have a dance after, and that, as they say, is that. I was completely hooked, hook, line, and sinker from then on.
So your mom got you back into it. So that was around 2001, you said, when you got back into it?
Yeah, and then I started calling. I officially joined Color Lab in 2003, I believe, if I remember correctly. So again, I'll let you do the math, but it's been a while.
So now, after you start dancing again in 2001 and you decide to start calling, what kind of pulled you into that? Was it a specific call or any kind of influences, or what put you on the stage?
I am a theater major.
Okay.
I always kind of say I like eating more than I like acting. But the mic attracted me because it gave me that stage release. You
Right.
know, I'm actually a lot of an introvert. I don't talk a lot if I'm in normal situations. I just kind of watch and and react as I need to. But when I'm on stage, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's like a light bulb that turns on, and then it's time to go. You know what I
I
mean?
agree.
So that's really the attraction. That first night that I was talking about, I don't know if you know him, but Stephen Cole was the caller. And I said, hey, I want to do that. And he gave me a record, and there went that.
You remember what the record was?
Gentle on My Mind.
Wow, very
It
nice.
was
Okay.
original. I don't know if I'd say it was original, but it's a really old copy. Don't ask me who the producer was. I couldn't tell you. Um, and the kind of the other thing that happened, let me back up. I was with
Yeah.
the Sumner Stompers when I was in high school, and we went through our plus graduation actually. And everybody thought it would be really funny if we put our caller on the stage, sat him in a chair, and then I would do a skit and a singing call. And that's what originally said, hey, this isn't terrible. people aren't people aren't throwing tomatoes. This might work. But again, I went and had family and all that kind of thing. So and it didn't kind of respark until that night with Steven.
Now, being a theater major, I didn't know that. Being a theater major, do you consider yourself more of a choreographer, singer, entertainer? What do you think of yourself? I know we're all a little bit of everything, but
Yeah.
what do you put yourself out as, you think?
I I do enough to be dangerous everywhere.
Very nice.
Um, so when I like to do things differently. When I first started calling, I used patter records from the Sugar Hill Gang and from Michael Jackson,
Okay.
and everybody around was still using Turkey in the Straw and fiddles and banjos and things like that. So it really took me a while to kind of nestle in that way. I am certainly a wind in your face guy. I really couldn't care less if you could do spin chain and exchange of gears from facing lines. I don't, I don't have time for that, and I think it confuses the dancers. But that's just me. So, but I know enough to keep people moving, and every once in a while I can pull a rabbit out of my hat and do that. But I don't know that I'm a master at any of it, and I don't think
Okay.
anybody is,
No,
right?
I agree. I agree. And we have to be a little bit of all of it. You can't be, because I early on, I consider myself more of the entertaining singer type because I didn't come into it at an early age, and so the patter was tough for me starting out. Still is sometimes.
Mhm.
And so I asked the caller, the gentleman that kind of got me going. I'm like, why can't I just do singing calls all the time? Why not just? And he was like, well, Charlie, that's not what
The
people come for.
karaoke
Some
dancers.
people want
Yeah.
to come and do stuff that they don't do every single time. So you have to get into the choreography. So I did. I got a little deeper. Um, how? What level do you dance at? What level do you call to?
Uh, so I call it the plus. I dance. We actually just graduated from an advanced class, so I can dance at the A level. And honestly, I only took the A class just because I wanted to kind of get a feel of the choreography and how that happens. But quite frankly, I'm just having too much fun at basic and mainstream. Take this for what it is, but I think that with the complexity of the choreography that we have, I think that we've lost basics. And you don't have a dancer base without basics. So, that's kind of my philosophy. I can call it to plus, I dance to A.
I think, and this is my opinion, and I mean, I think some others share it, some others may not. But COVID hurt the dancers as much as it did the callers. The only advantage is and most callers, and I don't know, I'm going to ask you your process in a minute, but I do some kind of choreography every single day, whether it be checkers, tamination, somewhere on the laptop. With checkers, they're never far from me. I've got a bag everywhere I go. So I'm always working it because I was really struggling after a year and a half of not stepping behind a mic, and the dancers, I'm sure, are just as rough, and they don't dance every single day as the callers do. So I think that's really hurt the basics and the mainstream level. Plus is really tough some places I go now just because of that, where it used to not be. So what is your process when you get ready for a dance?
So I can tell you that I'm not I don't think there's such a thing as pure sight. But full transparency, I'm ADHD, which is really advantageous when I'm on the stage because I have the ability to improvise quite a little bit. All of that to say, I have piles and encyclopedias of choreography that I've written, and I write it once, I put it through Nations, or I throw it through my checkers, and then I don't look at it again. I have all of that database stuff, but really it's kind of like what they tell the quarterback, the quarterback in a football game. Just let the game come to you. You have to figure out where the dancers are, where the level of their dancers are. You need to be able to, kind of improvise. So every time I make a plan, I will bet your next paycheck against mine that I will throw that plan away and do something else because either the dancers couldn't handle what I planned or it was too easy or what, so I do my prep. I figure out where generally I want to go, and then I just go.
Right. That's the biggest thing. And I had talked about this the last few conventions I've gone to and stuff with different callers. You've got to have a plan. Now that plan it's just like you were saying, just like in sports, the plan is great until you get hit in the face. And you realize, hey, I can't do that with this floor, or hey, I can do a little bit more than I was planning on. And so you kind of got to steer that way. So yeah, I agree with that, but the preparation is the biggest part. I can tell you when I go out there, if I'm watching another caller, if they've put any thought into it, when they spend 2.5 minutes thinking of what their singing call is going to be while the dancers are standing in a square, I was like, you really had no plan going into this tip, did you? Because I've got my singing calls laid out. I know what comes next for each dance, and with the pattern. Hey, I want to look at diamonds when I do this, so I'm going to focus diamonds, But when you go in there, like I said, after COVID, I'll go in there and my first plus tip, I'll go into a diamond position and I'll see half my squares break down. I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. So you got to kind of steer away or kind of back off a little bit. So that being said, there is a lot of preparation that goes into it. So do you think you do it on a daily basis, or how often do you work on choreography?
I try to, I try to write something every day. Like the old Jerry Seinfeld, write a joke a day, and and all that. I wish I could say that I keep to that faithfully. There are times when I go, days, weeks without writing, and then and then I get to a lesson or I get to a dance. I'm like, God, son of the motherless goat, I need to go back and do some prep. And then I watch callers too. And because of, I know that you were talking to Brian Clark about this, the teen festival that happens, there are some really good callers around here. The type of which afterwards you say, God, I gotta go home and practice. So yeah, I try to do it every day. In reality, it's probably 2 or 3 times a week.
I agree. I'll go for a week and I'll write a bunch of stuff and look at a bunch of things and look at some other people. I've probably got more hours on YouTube than most callers, because I will sit there and I'll find just somebody, whether it be a Jet Roberts or somebody, from 8 years ago, and I'll just sit there. I'll write down everything he did. I'll go back and work it myself and put it through checkers. So I try and do something of it, but then, like you said, life comes along, and then you realize it's been a week since you've written or looked at anything. The upside is I have a regular club now. First time I've had it for 2 years. I'm going on my second year. So every other Thursday, I have to have a dance ready to go. And it would be an injustice in my mind to walk in there without spending, 3 or 4 days prior to pattern music. This is what I want to do. Calling, singing calls. This is what I want to do. So yeah, you've got to put some prep in, but there's time that a week of it when that's that in between week that I don't, I'm just like, I'm still going to work on it. And then I'll realize 3 days later, I haven't looked at the thing. So it's something you got to work on constantly.
Yeah, respect the dancing. That is for sure.
Have you recorded any music, any songs?
A couple. I record for Goldwing. There's 3 of them there. Goldwing, Fine Tune, Sharpshooter.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I have 12 in now. Yeah.
And I ran into this a couple times early on. When you have multiple songs, I have just one, but that I've recorded. Do you have a favorite?
There's a couple actually. The first one that I did was a Christmas song. It was Louis Armstrong's "Is That You, Santa Claus?"
Okay.
So I guess I should say I didn't go by way of I learned how to call, a club hired me, and now I'm a club caller. I wasn't getting hired, so I just started my own group. That's the direction that I got. If you wanna call, then get people together and teach them how to dance, and then you call to them, right? So what I did is I kind of finagled this "Is That You, Santa Claus?" And I swear to holy God, they would not let me out of the building without doing that at least once a session, right? Which got really old in summertime. But anyway, so when I was first talking to Rick Hampton, who's kind of the poobah of the label, I said, "Hey, I've got this thing. What do you think?" And we did it, and I'm just super proud of it. The other one happened a couple of years later. A dancer friend of mine came up to me and he said, Leo, how come there's no rock in square dancing? I'm like, what do you mean? Well, we don't hear any, AC/DC or Metallica or, or. And as he's going through this, I'm thinking, have you met the square dancing population? But to that credit, I put out TNT from AC/DC, which is very cool. But the one but actually, Rick, he called me up one day and he said, "Well, what do you think about Guns N' Roses?" And again, I'm thinking, you've met the square. But anyway, we were able to get into the studio and do oh my God, I had it. I just lost
Sweet
it.
Child of Mine.
Sweet Child of Mine. Yeah.
I didn't know you were the one that did that. I did not know you were the one that recorded that. That's a phenomenal song. I do not have it yet. I've thought about doing it. I heard Justin Russell do it 6 months ago. I don't know how long ago, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And
so there's some untapped resources. They're saying that the music that you listened to when you were in high school is probably the best music to go to. And I graduated in 1989, and that 80s vibe is alive and well, right?
Yeah.
So it's not Turkey in the Straw anymore. Now it's DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, or Will Smith, or you know, Guns N' Roses or you know, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, those guys that we really need to start looking at for singing calls, because that's what's going to attract the dancers.
Yeah, I was at high school in the '80s also, and Metallica, my favorite band, Scorpions. And I've gone through the Scorpions catalog, and I cannot find a song that I could put as a song. I would love to do a Scorpion song, but somebody asked me one night. They said, "Can you do a Metallica song?" And the closest I could get is I do have Charlie Robertson recorded. Dadgummit, I've got the record right here. Hang on. I keep everything pretty close. It's actually a remake song. Hang on, I got it right here.
Take your time.
Well, I'll have to find it. It's in here somewhere. Turn the Page.
Oh, I love that song.
Metallica did a remake of that song, and so when somebody says, "Can you do Metallica?" Because I do a lot of the AC/DC patter music, and so that's what I'll pull out is Turn the Page, and so that's as close as I can get to Metallica. So if you have the opportunity, if you can find a Scorpion song, brother, I would love to hear that. So that would be awesome.
You know, the Scorpions are kind of loud for me. I do like some of their stuff. Really, what's more interesting to me is Ozzy. I've heard Crazy Train done as a patter quite often, actually. So you know, I'm not gonna say, but I'm just saying, you know, somebody should do Ozzy.
I'll have to look into the Crazy Train as a patter. I'll grab that.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool.
Nice. Back to you, sir. So have you done any traveling with your calling, or do you stay mainly on the West Coast area?
Well, like I said, we moved to California for 6 years, so I called pretty regularly in kind of the San Diego area. And I do go to Oregon every once in a while. But that's really it. I really kind of stay local. I think that that's more with you know, moving down to San Diego, and then people don't know me in San Diego, and then I moved back up here and people forgot who I was up here, and you know, kind of those sorts of issues. I'm still kind of getting my name out. Now with you know, the passing of callers, you know, with COVID and all that kind of thing, callers are aging out, that sort of thing. You know, we've lost one, two, three, I think four in the last couple of years, you know, including, you know, Don Wood, who was just a force of nature up here.
Yeah.
You know, and we're starting to lose viewers and, you know, and all that kind of thing. All to say, you know, boy, I tell you, if you know anybody up here in Seattle that wants to learn or that wants to be able to call, we need the help, quite honestly. So, you know, so all that to say, I don't really get to travel much.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just got back. Of course, we just finished with Caller Lab this a few weeks back, yeah. And there's a big push, and I never thought of it this way, but they were really pushing to get more callers, not just in Caller Lab. Yeah, that's great, and we need that, but just to get callers out there, because the thought process is that would bring more dancers in. Because if you get a younger caller, then, you know, they might bring some of their friends in as dancers, and so you start building a younger base. Because yes, it is an older base. I won't mention names or anything, but I got hired for a dance last night over the phone, and the lady told me, she said, "Yep, I was told you're one of the younger callers," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm one of the younger callers. I am not young, but I am one of the younger callers."
Celebrate when that happens.
You know. And so I was like, yeah, I said, I guess just in general, I'd be one of the younger ones, but I'm not young by any means. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that we as a caller community, and this is just me talking, don't throw tomatoes at me or anything, but I think that we need to really rethink how we um, not only recruit callers, but put them into a position to where they're not, for lack of a better word, thrown to the sharks.
mhm.
When I learned and I got my first record, Stephen Cole, he told me the same thing. He said, you know what, callers call, dancers dance. That's the way it works. And if you want to make it in this crazy business, you got to do the work. There is no other substitute from pushing the checkers around, getting people together, and teaching them how to dance. That is the only way to do it. That said, I think that, I mean, I don't know, I'm just spitballing, but it seems to me that there is not necessarily a softer landing, because I do believe that you have to do the work, but I also believe that we're probably scaring off more people than we're actually recruiting, right? Because once you get that mic in your hand, it is a lonely place up there.
It certainly can be. Yes, it can.
And you have to drum up all of the emotion, the laughter, the hate, the hurt, and you have to put it on stage in a meaningful way for the dancers. And that is a scary place,
It is.
especially for somebody who's just picking up the mic. So I think that we have some work to do there.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, it's as much, and I haven't had the opportunity. I've talked to a couple of people about, hey, are you interested in calling and something like that? But actually putting somebody through it, I haven't done it yet. But it's just like dancers. If you don't put them in a position to succeed, you're going to lose them. If they go to enough dances, and I'm only talking 3, 4, or 5 dances where they're always in the square that's furthest from the stage. It's always broken down. If you can't put them in the position to succeed and have fun, not the entire time, but most of the time, you're going to lose them. And it's the same with a caller. You put them up there enough, and they got dancers just staring at them while they're trying to read something off of paper. You can't do that either. One of my mentors back a few years back, every time I'd go up there with a piece of paper, he's like, "What do you got tonight?" And I would show him, and he'd wad it up and stick it in his back pocket, and he'd say, "Have at it, buddy." And so then I would be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I need that." He's like, "Hey, just square through 4, get them to the corner, and just move on from there." And I'm like, "Well, that sounds a lot easier than when you say it than when I'm trying to do it."
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it goes back to your statement earlier of, I just want to do singing calls. I hear this all the time. I just want to teach. I don't care about patter. I don't care about those things. I just want to teach.
Right.
And again, we were talking before you turned the recorder on about kind of the egos here. I mean, I came up from a group of callers that say, hey, give me $300. You can call in my garage for all the time that you want, right? Because really that's what it is. But you have to take them along, because as they're saying, square through 4, you're hoping that they don't, drop the mic and run out the door screaming and running because they're talking in front of people, which is, which is a fundamental thing, right? So yeah, it's really kind of.
No, yeah. Some people's true horrors in life is public speaking, and this is a different level of public speaking, what we're doing. Because this is more than just putting words out. This is a direction that you're trying to go in. What am I trying to accomplish here? So yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
In your time in San Diego, in where you're living now, were there any venues that stand out to you as just really cool floors or anything like that?
So we have a hall down here in the Olympia area called Lackado. It is a hall built by square dancers and run by square dancers. It is a beautiful hall. You probably heard from other callers. We use the Grange system up here. So it's really kind of a hit and miss as to, you know, I mean, there are some that are gorgeous, gorgeous Granges. And there are some that could use some work. You know, in San Diego, they don't have a Grange system, or at least they don't use it. So there's a lot of schools and churches and community centers that they use. When I was down there, I was in not the heart of San Diego. I was in Ramona, California, which is really kind of high desert area. And they had a community center there that we started up. We started up a club, and that was great. There was air conditioning. It was tile floor, but you know, but you couldn't beat the price, and it was a very cool place to dance.
What are you planning to do? Do you have any plans? You comfortable where you are? Are you looking to do more as you get further along with the square dancing?
Yeah, you know, I have, and I was thinking about this the other day. For as long as I have been dancing, and as long as I've been calling, I've actually accomplished quite a little bit. Would I like to be a festival caller? Sure. You know, would I love to travel? Absolutely. But you know what? I am a guy that does what he can for the activity. I'm proud to say that I've started two clubs. One is still running. The other one in California had to close because there was nobody to take it over.
Right.
And you know what? If I can just have my little spot in the world and call my dances and have people enjoy coming out and having a good time dancing, that's good enough for me. I mean, would I love to do more? Sure, but you know, it's if it comes, it comes.
You know, in the short time that I've been calling, I agree 100%. The club that I call for now is a small club. We're on a good night, we're three squares. Typically two squares if we get some visitors. We're up north of where I live in Georgia, and I love going to clubs that I've never been to. And now there's a little bit more um, fear when I walk up there when I don't know one single face on the floor. And you know, I'll write down my corners. You know, when I'm there at a club that I've never been to, because I'm like, I don't know anybody. And of course, now as much as square dancing has changed, you know, everybody used to, you know, the couples would dress the same. And so it'd be easy to go, hey, the American flag couple is my number 4. And, you know, this couple in the green is my number 1. And I can remember that. But now you go in there and there's cargo shorts over here and the ladies have jeans on and whatever. And that's fine. But you're just like, well, you know, hopefully I've got a guy that's 6'4" because I can put tall guy. You know, I can put tall guy number 1. And so then I can kind of key off that. But at my club, there's such a level of comfort. I know everybody by name. I know who dances with who. And typically they'll dance in the same spot. If they're the ones, they'll be the ones all night. You know, so it makes it easy for me. So absolutely. I mean, I love just being a club caller. I do love traveling and getting out and meeting people. And, you know, I want to call in all 50 states before it's all said and done. Is that possible? It's possible. Is it going to happen? I doubt it. I'm at 9 right now, so I've still got some work to do. I'll knock Wisconsin out here in a couple of months. Any plans? The Wisconsin is the Nationals this year. Are you planning on going over there or no?
I wish I could,
Okay.
but I am pretty heavily involved in our state convention, which is right after the Nationals.
Gotcha.
So, you know, again, it's truly expensive to go, you know, and it's not about money. That's not the thing. It's just, you know, you know, is the juice worth the squeeze? You just gotta ask yourself, right? I could go. I could, you know, have my 15 minutes at 7:30 in the morning in the broom closet, And that would be fine, honestly. But you know, is it where I don't know what it is.
I agree. And I say that I've been calling now for 10-ish years, 10, 11 years. And I never went to a national convention. I went to the Georgia convention every year because it was typically near me. But my first nationals was when they were in Atlanta, literally 2 miles from my house. So it was easy. But then I kind of got the bug at that point when I went to the nationals. I was like, oh my God, I see all these callers that I've watched on YouTube. You know, I go into a hall and it's got 17, 20, 25 squares. You know, being it's a national, you get a little bit bigger crowd. And I was like, oh my gosh, so I try and make a point. I try and go to all the nationals now. Now I've didn't work it out correctly. I'm driving to Wisconsin, which is not something I'm looking forward to. That's a good 13-hour drive for me. I'm going to break that up over 2 days. Yeah, I understand completely, but I just kind of look forward to it. And the other side of it is now, as deep as I'm in to the calling, I've got a lot of friends that I only see at conventions. You know, again, I don't see anybody from the West Coast unless it's a Caller Lab or a national convention, if they make it out to that. And it's that way for all over the country for the most part, you know, unless you're down the Southeast where I am. I see a bunch of Florida guys, I see a bunch of Alabama guys, but that's it. And gals, I always say guys just in general, but there's a lot of women callers that I love watching. Matter of fact, this past weekend I was in South Carolina at their state convention, and Patty Green was there, and she was sitting there watching me one night, and I was in the mainstream hall, and I could not find the corner to save my life because nobody was dressed alike. And I finally looked over at her, and she just looked at me, and I said, I don't know where I'm at anymore. And so I just kept calling, and I just started, you know, going from there. And I'd be like, let me get into a singing call. I can get you out of a singing call, no problem. So, but that's a good time.
And you know, and to that point, I think that I have had a unique experience in, you know, we have the teen festival up here. So up here in the Northwest, I've gotten to see, you know, John Wood, Doug Davis, Clendenin, you know, those guys, along with some fabulous callers. So I have that influence. And then I was able to go down to the San Diego area and see, you know, Ken Bauer and Buddy Weaver and, you know, and those guys. You know, so I've kind of been there, done that, you know. It's not, and don't get me wrong, I would drop everything and go see them if they were close in a heartbeat. But yeah, it's kind of a unique experience that way for me.
Yeah, I would. I've talked to a few of the callers on the California side and Oregon side, and I would love to talk to Ken Bauer. Haven't had the opportunity yet.
Oh, please do. You will not find a better man.
I would, like I say, I've never spoken to him. I've seen him at a couple of Caller Lab conventions in the past, but love to talk to him at some point. There's a bunch of people, obviously, you know. I'm trying to get to all of them at some point, and I kind of use the podcast as that somebody I wouldn't normally just run into. I would love to talk to. And
yeah, I only met Flippo once. I shook his hand. You know, he kissed my wife like he normally did, and that was kind of the end of the conversation. But you know, it's you know, stepping on the shoulders of giants type of a deal. You know, I mean, and it's big deal. So
yeah, the last Caller Lab that he was at, I literally, just like you said, he was coming into a room to one of the banquets, and I shook his hand, said hello, nice to meet you, and I think he passed away the next year. So I mean, that was the only real, you know, I'd heard about him forever, and but never had the opportunity to just sit down and listen to him talk.
right.
All right, and back to you. So with the years you've been doing it and all this, and I've asked everybody, and hopefully you've thought about it. If you hadn't, if it catches you off guard and you don't know, do you have a favorite call? Mainstream or plus, anything? I mean,
I'm a fan of Spin Chain Through. I don't think that it gets enough credit, quite honestly. I'm a huge fan of Chain Down the Line.
Nice.
From the plus side, I like the formations. I'm a fan of diamonds. I'm a fan of inverted boxes. Where the centers are facing one way and the ends are facing the other.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think that the choreography is so rich. Again, you have to have the basics first, but once people are past those basics, it's sky's the limit, right?
Agreed. Do you have a favorite get out? Or one that you like more than others, you think?
Um, when I am just my brain is tired and I'm like, God, I gotta get him out of this. How do I do that? Usually it's slide through 8 chain 5.
Nice. Okay. Gotcha.
If I'm getting to the point to where if I can resolve them at home, I do that.
Yeah.
It just cuts down on the fit steps, right? Um, but yeah, I'm also a big fan of putting them in zero boxes. Swing zero box, swing through, boys trade, extend, right and left brand. That's pretty good.
You know, the gentleman Ray Monty who passed away, he's one of the guys who started me out doing the singing calls in patter, and he was always an Alaman left. It was from different positions, but you would always get some type of Alaman left, right and left grand, or Alaman left promenade home. And at some point, and he quit calling for a while, but I think he's back at it. A gentleman named Chris Birchfield. I think he was in Alabama. He's out of Florida now, I think. He came to Kennesaw and he called, and it seemed like most of the night, because I was just a dancer then, it seemed like everything was slide through your home, Ferris wheel, center sweep a quarter your home. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea you could do this. And, because I was used to, the gift is Alaman left, and there it is, let's go. And, but, the resolves at home are fantastic. And some of the dancers will tell you they would rather do that. Again, as you get up in age, you don't want those promenades when you're going 3 positions. You're not going 3/4 around, or right and left grand every single time. So if you can resolve at home, that is just phenomenal. I work a bunch of those in at my club too. And people like that. It's a little surprise usually when slide through your home, back away your home, whatever.
Right.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Moderation is always the key. I have known callers in the past to where you knew when the elemental left is coming. You could almost see it, right? I mean, even as a dancer, it's like, okay, center's pass, all right, elemental left now, that sort of thing. I think that the entertainment value is taken up a couple of notches when you can kind of mix that around. And you see the traveling guys do it all the time. You get into an opposite lady wave, and all of a sudden you're home, and you're like, my God, I gotta go home and practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I try and do at least one caller school a year. And I've been to a lot of them. I've been to Ken Ritucci's up in the Northeast, which is a phenomenal school. I've been to a couple of Tony Oxendines. I've been to a couple of Ken schools also. I go to GSI. I try and go every national convention. So I've talked to a lot of people, but that's just it. I didn't know that going in. You can't do square through 3 all night long. Square through 3 element left.
Will go home.
And so because I didn't know early on, hey, you got to have some get outs from different positions. You do your square through 3s, but you can't do it. It's great in a singing call because it flows. But your patter, you've got to have something where it's kind of a surprise, whether it be at home or, slide through Alabama, a surprise. And so I always try and write those down. I got that, the slide through 8 chain 5 like that. And I think mine, and I'll probably say it wrong at this point, but I've got a bunch of them that I have on my laptop, and going into a dance, I'll be like, all right, I'm going to work these 3 in, and that'll be my little get outs. From other than that, I'll cite it, and I'm like, Ferris wheel, square through 3, whatever. So
Right.
that's awesome, Leo. Good stuff. Now, you were talking about some of the stuff in the where you live. Do you have anything coming up? Any kind of festivals or conventions? What you said your state convention is after the nationals?
Yeah, state convention for us is in July. So we're actually traditionally we have had a separate weekend for what we call our leadership seminar, and our state convention is separate. This year, because of COVID and for lack of a better word, the infrastructure of our politicians, I guess you'd call them, our infrastructure is getting to a point to where it's kind of fallen down on itself. So we're starting to combine the state convention and the leadership. Next year is actually kind of fun. We are going to have USA West in, I think it's the first week of August, second week of August. I don't remember, but Spokane is going to host USA West next year, which is very exciting. I really enjoy USA West.
At some point, I would love to get out there. I see USA West on Facebook a lot, and there's a lot of social media on that. I'd love to come out and just dance and just see some of the callers that I don't normally get to see.
Yeah, and it's very cool because again, the Nationals, they Seattle, the Northwest is really, I don't know that it's isolated, but it's a really long trip to even go to Texas or Alabama or those places, right? So to get a smaller convention with honestly the same talent, there are a lot of, again, very good callers up here and in California and things like that. So it's really kind of a mini national. It's very cool.
Well, hopefully I can get out there. Maybe I can run into you next year at the USA West. That'd be great.
Well, man. We'll keep the light on for you.
That'd be nice. All right. What else? Do you have any other stories or anything you want to put out there about you or anything?
Wow. Well, that was the question I wasn't expecting actually. Because I just bored talking about myself. But what I will say is again, this is the greatest activity in the world, man. I have had some, just like everyone else, I've had some low points in my life. Maybe not to the extreme of Paul Cote, if you've ever heard his story or not, but anyway, so I've had some low points, and the thing that always got me back going was this activity. Whether it was I was in a new place and I didn't know anybody, and we immediately went to the square dance community who took us in and and helped us out, or we moved to a couple of places in Ramona, and we had a 2,000 square foot house with 2,000 square foot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we reached out to the dance community and we said, hey, we're moving. If anybody has an extra truck or a couple minutes, come help us out. I am not exaggerating. The morning of the move, we had a horse trailer, 5 trucks, and probably about 30 people. We moved a 2,000 square foot house out of one and into the other in 3 hours. It was amazing.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
I mean, and that's the kind of power that the square dance community has because they're just that nice. I mean, that's just what we do, right? And you know, with the COVID stuff and the pandemic and all of that, I don't know if you know this, but some of the first people that passed away were square dancers up here in Kirkland.
I'm sure.
You know, so that is a place that we need to get back to, which is we need to get out of the freaking house. All respect to the content creators and the YouTube guys, and Charlie, what you're doing is absolutely important for our activity. But we need to get out and start talking to people. You know, we need to start getting out and start, you know, interacting like we should be doing rather than just talking to our phone or talking to our computers all day. So anyway, that's my soapbox.
Okay, no, I agree. Now, you kind of gave a little away with when you were in high school. But if you're not doing square dance music, what genre do you deal? What is your music? What are you listening to when you're riding around?
Oh my God. I am a jack of all trades, master to none. I grew up on Haggard and George
Nice.
Jones and you know, Tammy Wynette and Dolly Parton and those guys. I have a huge influence in the rap community with Will Smith, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, you know, the Sugar Hill Gang, Run DMC, those guys. My sister, she was and still is actually AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, you know. So I have a whole, and being a theater major, I love the Cole Porter stuff, the Rodgers and Hammerstein stuff. I just adore. So I truly am really eclectic that way.
Nice.
It just depends on my mood and the day of the week, honestly.
Yeah, with my wife and I would say just on an everyday basis, there's more Led Zeppelin in our house and in our cars. When we're riding around, there's some Led Zeppelin at some point playing. We're just massive Led Zeppelin fans.
Yeah.
I've tried to figure out a Led Zeppelin song. I can't figure it out.
Didn't somebody do Stairway to Heaven?
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Imagine that one sped up 127.
I know that Rick Hampton Finetune, this is a couple of years now, but he put out oh my God, oh, this is gonna bother me.
Leonard Skinner. I know what song you're talking about.
No, it's If I Leave You Tomorrow, Freebird.
Yeah.
You know,
yep.
so yeah, so we're starting down that road, but it's honestly, it's like steering the Titanic. You know, yeah, I mean, people like their fiddles and banjos, and I get that, and I like fiddles and banjos too. But you know, when in Rome.
You know, I do. When I program my dances, even for my club, one of the tips, I typically do 6, maybe 7 tips, depending on what we're doing in between. Because we don't have round dancing, we'll have lines sometimes. So I do anywhere from 6 to 7 tips at a regular dance every other Thursday. One of them will be some type of fiddle and banjos, and you know, traditional. And I'll throw that in there. Now, I'm a huge country guy. I will throw in a lot of George Jones, George Strait, Billy Currington. I'll put that in there. Merle Haggard. But I also go into and Ted Lazat with TBT has a ton of 80s stuff. And I will do a bunch of 80s stuff too. I'll throw one traditional in, but then I'm always come back to Leonard Skinner. Love Simple Man. One of my, I think it's on Acme or Crest. They're both Scott Bennett. But it's just phenomenal. Loved it. I tore it up at South Carolina with Simple Man. Loved it. And had a lot of fun. So yeah, I kind of get in that range. I'm an 80s guy. But huge Run DMC fan. Beastie Boys. I mean, that's what I grew up on.
Yeah, same here.
And so,
I know that we were talking about Charlie earlier, who is a phenomenal interview, by the way. I'm absolutely fascinated by
Thank
that,
you.
episode. But anyway, so Don Wood passed away, as you probably heard.
Hmm.
And at his funeral, he had a lot of the Lumac guys come up, and we had a big dance and all that kind of thing. Charlie has a song out there called "Whoop Square It Is."
Yep, I know it.
And honestly, I have it in my record case, but I don't pull it out that much, because I'm again, I know my audience, right? But Charlie got up there and he did that thing, and he told the story about how, well, I got this thing, and it turned into this big thing in the Nationals, and they gave themselves names, and he'll tell you the story if you ask him about it. But anyway, he got up there on stage and he blew the flippin' roof off of the building. It was truly, truly amazing to hear that song. Not only because it's absolute different genre than what we're used to, but it's Charlie, so he could sing the phone book and people would
Yep.
be in rap,
Yep.
right? So,
That's Charlie Robertson. Well, a few of us call him C1 because I'm C2, and we kind of matched up. He's an awesome dude, and yeah, love talking to that guy. I talked to him on the phone on occasion. We've done a couple of podcasts. But yeah, he's done a bunch of songs. And again, turn the page. And I had him actually. I kind of caught him off guard. I took the record. I have the 45, and I took it on the cruise. And he was sitting eating breakfast one morning with a couple of people. And I sat down. And of course, hey, but what's going on, man? And I was like, no, can you autograph this record for me? Because I've had a few people sign their records because nobody uses there's a handful that still use records. I get that, but I've got boxes of records that people have given me and everything else. So now I just grab a couple that I know I'm going to see, and I'm like, hey, autograph the record for me. At some point, I'm going to make a tabletop and put the acrylic on it, but we'll see if that ever happens.
Yeah, you talk about pressure at that same memorial service. So Charlie gets up and he does his thing, and the guy that's kind of running the thing, he says, "Well, what we want you to do is, do something that you would remember Dawn for, right? So I had, when I'd started my workshops, this is when I first started, I just kind of hung up a shingle and said, "Hey, you want to learn how to dance? I want to learn how to call. Let's make a deal, right?"
Right.
So I got a hold of the Mississippi Squirrel Revival.
Nice. Okay. I know it.
And so here I am. I'm at a hall where the producer of the record has just passed. Charlie is standing at the side of the stage, who is the recording artist. I'm like, well, I'm going to do this and, be gentle. No pressure here. But that was an amazing experience. Yeah. Just not only to honor Don, but honor Charlie and the rest of the Lumac guys who have been doing it for years. Very
Awesome.
cool.
Man, that's why I got into doing the podcast. I told you before we started recording. It's about the stories. That's phenomenal. Before we get out of this, I've got to bring this up because I do it for everybody. And this is when I talk to dancers or callers. Are you a footloose guy or a dirty dancing guy? For some reason, this hits better than in most of the things I talk about for some reason.
It's an interesting question.
It's Kevin Bacon or Patrick Swayze. Where are you at on that?
I wasn't a fan. I have to tell you, he was a good actor, and the way that I'm kind of going with this is, Footloose is really more of a driving, kind of a driving style, and Dirty Dancing is more of a, for lack of a better word, a hip hip hooray style, right? So I would say that I am more of a footloose guy.
Nice.
I think that stuff like The Devil Went Down to Georgia is a religious experience to a square dancer.
Yep.
You know, and if I don't have that driving beat, I get bored, right? I call slower than 126, and I am falling asleep on the mind.
I agree. Yep.
And I found that depending on the age of who I'm calling to, you know, the dancers get really bored that way too. So I tend to keep things up. So I guess my answer would be Footloose. What about you?
Okay. Outstanding. Well, I'm a footloose guy. Um, Now, don't get me wrong, and I've told a few people, Dirty Dancing with Patrick Swayze, just a phenomenal movie. I'm a big fan of Patrick Swayze. I think my favorite of all his, and this is probably a stretch, is Roadhouse. Movie wise, love Roadhouse more than anything, Patrick Swayze wise. But and I'm a Kevin Bacon fan. But Footloose, I guess that hit about the time I was in, coming out of high school. I don't know what year it was. Uh-oh.
Oh,
I still hear you, but I don't see you.
you don't see me?
Mm-mm.
What happened? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm starting the video.
There you go. All right, you're back. You're back. So yeah, so that was sometime around high school was Footloose with Kevin Bacon. So I was a big fan of that. Kind of go into that, and this is completely out of left field. I'm a baseball fan. I haven't asked many people. Westerns. What's your favorite Western? Do you have one? How about that?
Boy, anybody that watches this on YouTube, please close your mail client. I'm a big Bonanza fan.
Nice, good call.
My uncle, who is 93 at this point, that's all he does is he watches westerns. I'm a big fan of the old Lone Ranger stuff. I never really got into the Clint Eastwood Unforgiven, although Gene Hackman and Clint Eastwood are phenomenal actors. The modern Western just never made sense to me. City
Gotcha.
Slickers, okay, maybe, but that's it. Yeah, I like the old time stuff.
Okay, very nice. Bonanza, that's a great call.
Yeah.
All right. And this is brand new. This isn't something I've not asked anyone yet. So this is for you, sir.
Okay.
If you could call anywhere, where would it be?
Boy, I'm not even a legend in my own house.
State, country, doesn't matter. What if you could call anywhere, where would it be?
I would, you know what? I would really love to be able to call in, um, I don't even care what state it is, somewhere in the Bible Belt, because, it's where it's not where it all started, but it seems to be where the roots really took root, right? Being a headliner in Texas would, I would just have a heart attack right there, and that'd be okay.
I,
You know,
not called in Texas yet. I agree.
because when people think of square dancing, much to our dismay, they first think of hee haw, but then they think of Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, Louisiana, those sorts of places. I think that would be fun. I think that going to Europe would be great, just because we know that the European and the Asian level of dancing. A quick story. So when I first started calling, I started workshops, and again, I hung a sign and said, "Hey, I'm learning how to call. Come help me out." And I got a call from a local club president, and he said, you know, there's a couple of people, they're new dancers, they're from out of country. Please, treat them well, make sure that they have a good time. Great. So they happen to be from Germany. And it was very clear in the first 30 seconds that I was calling that they were dancing circles around people in my class that had been dancing for years. And I had to, and at the time I'm like, okay, all right, you guys are dance sharks, man. You are not beginners. Tell me what's going on. They said, no, we're beginners. In Germany, and I don't know if it's still this way, but in Germany, we are required to dance a full year of basic before we go to mainstream, and then we are required to go through a full mainstream before we go to plus. And I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing.
I believe that. I believe that is still in place. Yep, that is still in place from what I understand. I've talked to a couple of folks from Europe and from Germany, and I think that is still in practice for the most part. It is a high level of dance over there. It's certainly.
Yeah, and I mean, especially in the in that part of the world, you know.
Lost you again on the picture.
Uh, you know, for a reason, you know. Did you lose me again?
I did. Just a picture. I can still hear you.
Okay.
All right. There you go. You're back.
All right. So in that part of the world, that's what they do, right? I mean, they are very succinct. They are very direct. They do this, and then they do that, and then they do that, and that are act. How we can't into the act because it takes that engineering mind and just so I don't know what's going on with my camera. I apologize.
That's all right. That's all right. That went out again.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying.
There it is. Well, Leo, brother, we'll shut it down for now. Okay. Again, we talked prior to, and I know I would love to talk to you some more, man. This has been fantastic. I'm looking for stories, and you've got plenty of stories and a lot of thoughts on the square dancing world, and that's what I started this for. So I certainly appreciate that. Really love the fact that you're in the 80s. You're an 80s guy, and with some of the music. I'm going to go as soon as we get off here. I've got to dance tomorrow night, actually, and I'm going to see if I can work in Crazy Train at some point. Might be a little bit late in the programming to put Crazy Train is. The upside is my dancers will not hear this podcast until, actually Friday. I don't have any recorded, so this is going to come out Friday, 2 days from now. And so they'll know that the Crazy Train idea came from this podcast.
Cool. Well,
because they actually do watch it.
Pleasure. And I hope that Rick doesn't fire me for this, but I actually did record Crazy Train. I haven't released it yet, but it is coming soon, sometime.
You serious?
Yeah. Yeah. So
you get your picture back up. I can't let you go like that. Come on, hang on. Got Crazy Train.
So yeah, so I don't know of any recording studios up here. I know that there are a couple of people who have home studios and things like that. So what I do is I fly down to California. We do 3 or 4, and then I fly home, and then Rick releases them when he wants to. We just Backstreet Boys, Larger Than Life come out. That was a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
Which is phenomenal. I'm really excited about that song. And I feel weird bragging about the stuff I'm recording, but one of those songs is Crazy Train. So
come on.
Be looking for it. It's gonna be awesome.
Absolutely. I cannot wait for that to come out. I may have to shoot Rick an email See if I can
Yeah. Don't tell
find out
him.
exactly when it's coming out. So it's good stuff.
Quit and you're fired.
Oh, see if you there it is. Leo, it's been a pleasure, brother. It's finally nice to meet you. And hopefully we can run into each other in person, whether it be at USA West or at a convention somewhere along the line.
I hope so.
I am certainly looking for. I'd like to do about another hour with you for sure. Somewhere down the road, and cannot wait. You held on the crazy train to the last minute. Didn't tell me about that, so super jacked about that. I'm a huge Ozzy fan, so I'm looking forward to that. It's been a pleasure, brother. I will talk to you soon. I'm looking forward to the new releases coming out. Is on the label going to be Crazy Train. Looking forward to that, and hopefully I'll run into you somewhere on the road in person, and we can sit down again.
Looking forward to it, my friend. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great talking to you, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Bye now.
Side space, grand square. She was a fast machine. She kept her motor clean. She was the best looking woman that I ever seen. She had the sightless eyes, telling me no lies, knocking me out, Alabama left and with the ring. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Swing promenade. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Head square through, four hands go. Do side of the corner, girl, one time you know. Swing through, boy trade, boy run right, bend the line square through. Three hands round, swing your corner, promenade the ring. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Head square through, four hands go. Do side of the corner, girl, and go. Swing through, boy trade, boy run right, bend your line square through. Three hands round, swing your corner, girl, promenade on down. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Side space, grand square. Alabama left and with the rain. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Swinging promenade. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Side square through, four hands go. Do side of your corner, girl, and go. Swing through, boy trade, boy run right, bend the line square through. Three hands round, swing your corner, girl, promenade on down. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Side square through, four hands go. Do side of your corner, girl, and go. Swing through, boy trade, boy run right, bend the line square through. Three hands round, swing your corner, girl, promenade on down. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Side space, grand square, had to cool me down to take another round. Now I'm back in the ring to take another swing. Cause the walls were shaking, the earth was quaking, my mind was aching. Alabama left and with the ring. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Swinging promenade. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Chain the ladies over, chain her home. Shook me all night long.